1040.com podcast. Your taxes, smart and simple. Hey, welcome to 1040.com podcast, episode 19. I'm Paul.
And I'm Sue.
Hey, more importantly than this being episode 19, it is...
Oh, it's tax day.
Oh
Not
my
for
gosh.
y'all. Not for y'all.
Yeah, so
It
when
is
the
for
day
us
we're
right
filming
now.
this right now,
So we've been up since 3 in the morning, doing
16th, 7th, what is today? 17th?
It's the 17th.
17th,
Mm-hmm.
tax day.
I lied.
Here we are.
We made it.
We made it.
So have y'all.
Hopefully
but
you made
it's
it,
been-
but
yeah.
a week behind, a week
This
ahead.
is not a very positive intro.
I think it is. I think it's great. Hey, we'll make it positive real quick. We just found out before we started recording that Sue is a wrestling fan.
Oh my goodness. No.
And-
Back up. I've seen wrestling enough to know some people.
Who the people are.
Yeah, I know
Names.
who some
And
of the people are.
personalities of the
I watched
names.
it for like a year.
Okay. All right. Well,
It was
I was
fun.
trying to
It was a
watch
good
it
time.
last night. And
Don't tell anyone he said that.
Yeah, the whole world knows now.
Yeah, all of the world. You know how all
Yeah.
of the world watches this?
Digital news travels quickly, Sue.
Okay,
All right?
well.
Maybe you'll get a call. Like they need this tax blogger to come do a bit in one of the shows. Anyway, all right, we're
That
moving
would
on.
be amazing.
Hey, so tax season's over. Hopefully you got filed. If not, hopefully you referred to the episode before where we were talking about extensions, and you're getting that underway and rolling. So next year, a lot of people are already panicked or asking a lot of questions, thinking it was going to be this year, and there's just a lot going on with the two words that we're going to call
Tax reform.
tax reform, and that everybody's going to call tax reform. I am losing it today. I don't know what's going on.
It's the
Yeah.
shot in the dark.
Yeah, I've got
Paul's
this really
like,
strong coffee.
taxes.
Hey, so we're talking about tax reform today. We're just going to jump on the ball so that when tax season rolls around next year, which it'll be here before we know it, it always is, you will know what's going on with tax reform and be extremely educated. And Sue is going to help us out today understanding a small chunk of tax reform.
Yeah,
We're not going over the whole thing.
We're not doing the
Yeah.
whole thing today.
And we know it's going to be changing and evolving. So we're going to kind of go over some of the things we know. And we'll keep it quick. We'll keep it brief, hopefully.
Why'd you look at me and say hopefully?
I don't know. It's up to you.
Hopefully.
It's up to you.
Sue,
So
please.
first, what is the personal exemption?
Okay, the personal exemption is a big buzzword around tax reform, and what it is in past years, including this one, a personal exemption is a tax break that you automatically get no matter what for every person in your household. So this year it was $4,050. So if you are filing just for yourself, you get $4,050 taken off of your taxable income. So
Right.
that's for about $4,000 that you won't be taxed on.
Great.
If you're married and you have kids, you will get an additional personal exemption for each person in your household. So that's how the personal exemption works.
Cool. So how is the personal exemption different from deductions?
So the personal exemption you automatically get before any of your deductions, any of your other tax breaks. You can choose, though, between taking the standard deduction and itemizing deductions. So there's two different ways to get those tax breaks. Itemizing deductions mean that you add up all of your individual ones. So if you donated to a charity and you want to deduct those charitable expenses,
Right.
If you have state and local taxes that you want to deduct, you add up all of those little things. And once you add all that up, you take the sum, and then that is taken off your taxable income. So that's itemized deductions. You're listing them out one
Right.
by one, adding them up, and then taking that off. Now, if you don't have a lot of those individual deductions, or it's just super complicated and you know that it's not going to add up to a lot, you can take the standard deduction instead, which is just a set amount that's based on your filing status. And just take that instead. So whether you do itemized deductions or the standard deduction, you get that up until now, you've gotten that along with the personal exemption. So those things stack.
Boom.
So
You've done your homework on this.
I have done my homework.
Yeah, I like it. I appreciate it. All right, last thing.
Okay.
How does tax reform affect these different tax breaks?
Okay. So the personal exemption has been taken away, which sounds a little scary at first, but while the personal exemption no longer exists, the standard deduction has nearly doubled for everyone. So, for example, if you're a single filer, if you're filing as single for your filing status, your standard deduction has been $6,350. Now it's going to be $12,000.
Wow.
That's taken right off of your taxable income. So
great.
that's $12,000 that you just won't have to pay taxes on from your income automatically. So that's really good. And you can still itemize deductions, add up those little deductions instead if you have enough itemized deductions that it'd be more than $12,000, but that's not really likely. So a lot of people who have been itemizing deductions to get a bigger tax break now won't have to because the standard deduction is so much higher. So that simplifies the tax process. We've heard a lot about that. Now, while the personal exemption went for every member of the household, so say you're married and you have a couple of kids, you'd get a personal exemption for yourself, your spouse, and your kids.
Right.
The standard deduction doesn't apply to each person in your household. It just applies to the filers.
Right.
So you wouldn't get $12,000 for you and your spouse and your kids. It's just $12,000 per tax return.
Right.
So,
that makes sense.
So so a lot of people won't have to itemize their deductions because that standard deduction is getting higher, and we are losing the personal exemption, but since that standard deduction is getting bumped so high, it is going to end up being better for a lot of people. So,
good deal. Anything else?
No, that's it. So that's just one small facet of the tax reform, how all of those different tax breaks are kind of getting shuffled around. If you want to know more about, other details, we're going to be doing on the blog a series throughout May on tax reform. So we'll talk about tax reform, how it affects families, how it affects millennials, and how it affects freelancers. So taking a closer look at those different situations. And if you want to head to the blog right now, we have some more overview posts that are just kind of the basics of tax reform, just like this. So if you want to head over there, we'll have more information about tax brackets, how those have been affected, and the child tax credit, how that's been affected too.
We've also got some really good off-season projects that we're going to be working on that cover the ins and outs of tax reform and some other things that are going to just be going on throughout the season or the off-season. So we'll keep you posted on what that's going to look like. It's going to be really neat. So we're excited about it. Thanks for doing this.
We do stuff when it's not tax season, so stay tuned.
Yeah. So, as always, keep sharing these. Tell your friends. Give us some love. We appreciate you guys for tuning in this tax season. And we'll keep putting out content as long as you'll keep watching. We'll catch you next time.